Hello everybody out there on YouTube, this is your man Shadicstick, and Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is the greatest Kingdom Hearts experience I've had since the drop of the original Dream Drop Distance on 3DS, and I have to say it's completely worth the $60 that people are paying for it, and it's completely justified. I'll explain that later in the video, but one thing I gotta say is it presents itself in this sort of fashion that tells you I am worth $60. Everything from the game cover case compared especially to the last two game covers and the startup of the game tells you this is a $60 collection. This isn't something that's just worth, you know, $30 or $40. There's a reason why they made it $60. On top of that, I like the little nuances it has, such as beating the games to get individual themes for each game. While they aren't the best themes on the planet, I do appreciate the fact that they put the effort and time into actually, you know, putting something in there as a reward for beating the game, whether it's just something small or something massive. I still appreciate that they gave us something that we can have on our system itself saying, hey, I've beaten this game, you know, not someone else. You know, I've beaten this game. I didn't have to buy this, I earned it. So I really like the fact that they give back to us with this collection, and it's one of the greatest, like I said, Kingdom Hearts experiences I've had in a while, and I'm going to tell you why. So let me drop that hot firaga.
Whipping all this dope up in the chopper. We fuck all you bitches at the trap house. I can't trust you, I can't give you real address. I can't trust you, I can't give you real address. It don't mean that be like I might fall in love with my trap house.
Alright, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is a game that presents itself in a way that is artistically correct. Everything from the cover art to the startup of the game and the presentation of each game's individual startup screens just says and breathes the word art. I love that the Kingdom Hearts team has put as much time and effort into making this as good as a collection as possible for us, the fan. And I'm going to start off with Kingdom Hearts 0.2. Kingdom Hearts 0.2, Birth by Sleep as you know it, is a saga in which it explores Aqua's time in the Dark World. And I'm not actually going to go in and spoil the story. All I have to say is it's a solid story, and it actually explains what happens in the Dark World from the end of Birth by Sleep to the end of Kingdom Hearts. The original Kingdom Hearts, and it goes, you know, right before Kingdom Hearts 3 starts. Actually, it's right after Dream Drop Distance. So I really feel like this was actually needed to hold us over until the release of Kingdom Hearts 3. And the Kingdom Hearts team has given us something that says, we care about you guys. We know you guys are waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, but let's give you just a little taste of what's going to be coming to Kingdom Hearts 3. And I have to say the gameplay is pretty solid, from everything down to the magic. And one thing I do have to say, before they patched it the day after, there was an issue with, you know, your damage output or the enemy's damage output in Proud Mode, say for instance, was insanely high. Like one combo, and when I say a combo, you would get locked, and you get locked into a combo by the enemy. The enemies would take away all of your health. And mind you, Aqua is over 50 in Proud Mode, and you would just get faded. You were not ready for, you know, the damage you were about to take. And in Critical Mode, it was somewhat worse because your damage kind of got scaled back a little. So it made the game harder in that you did less damage, and that kind of hurt the player, but they went back and fixed it, and I appreciate that. On top of this, they improved the voice actors for Terra and Aqua, and I really have to appreciate that, because Terra and Aqua's voice acting in the series has really not been that great. At the end of I'm gonna say in the Kingdom Hearts Reconnect cutscenes or Reconnect Kingdom Hearts cutscenes, Aqua and Terra's voice acting has been, you know, really good. Or let me not say really good, but decent. But in here, they really show that, hey, we can do decent voice acting, especially for Terra. Terra's voice acting in Birth by Sleep was not very good at all. And I have to say this, it was emotionless to the point to where it felt like they didn't act, they just kind of got someone last minute, and I didn't like that. But here he has some emotion. While it's not the best, it is pretty decent for what it is, especially considering it's Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts tends to have spotty voice acting sometimes, though I do appreciate the voice acting it does have, because a lot of the people who do voice act for it try to put as much emotion into it as possible, and it has some of the greatest voices in video game history, in my opinion. On top of this, the game is graphically appealing, and when I say it's graphically appealing, when you look at videos on the internet, it doesn't do the game justice. The game is one of the prettiest games I've ever seen in my life. When I say pretty, like, I was like, when I looked at it, I was just like, when I was looking at this on a computer, it didn't really look that good, but like my jaw just dropped and I was just like, this is so beautiful. This looks phenomenal, especially on a big, 1080p screen. Imagine playing this on the PS4 and upscaled, 1080p. It's just amazing and it's phenomenal, and I have to say this, but I do have to say this though. It stutters a bit. The frame rate itself is not really that bad. It's, it's 30 frames per second and it's consistent, so I consider that, playable and pretty smooth, because it's consistent. But what happens is it has stuttering issues, not FPS drops, stuttering. And, a lot of times during the gameplay, it does not really actually stutter. It stutters sometimes when there's like situation command changes, such as you using Spellweaver or Wayfinder, but other than that, it doesn't have any actual frame rate issues that I see, but it does stutter. And when I say it stutters, it's like it goes from being a consistent 30, I was about to say 30 frames per second to just it'll chop off for a second, you still hear the audio going, and then it just goes to the next scene and you're just like, what just happened? In between this. It happens a lot during cutscenes towards the end of, I want to say the demo, but it's a game, towards the end of the game, and because of this, you kind of get a little angry because you're like, this is the end. You can't, if this was in the beginning, it would have been more forgiving, but it's in the end, and you're just like, So there's a downfall right there. On top of that, it's short, but it has a lot of replay value. I clocked in about 4.5 hours on Proud mode through my first playthrough, and I went back and started playing some more, and I have about 7 or 8 hours trying to do all the objectives, and I still haven't completed them all, and I'm going to do a critical run, which I will live stream, by the way. But as it is right now, the game is pretty solid though. It's really phenomenal. It's an early taste of Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's come a long way since we've seen its first appearances, and even since E3, and TGS, it looks way better. So I really commend Nomura and his team on what they've done with Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep. Alright, now let's talk about Unchained Key backstory. This is hands down the greatest Kingdom Hearts has ever looked in engine in a game. I don't care what anybody says. This is like, as far as what we have, what we can go by, this is the greatest it's ever looked. CGI cutscenes don't count, but when we're talking about something in engine and running in Unreal Engine 4, Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key back cover story is phenomenal. It looks, I want Kingdom Hearts 3 to look at least this good. It's going to look at least this good, I believe. Because that's true jaw dropping. Like that's the most beautiful thing I've seen in a video game ever. Like ever. I think that trumps Final Fantasy 15. Like by a landslide. Like on top of this has some of the best voice acting we've seen in Kingdom Hearts. Like Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key back's cover story, just the voice acting is so strong, especially the master. His voice is like the strongest out of all the voices there. Like his is so prominent and it's so strong, and I just love it. I love the way they carried it out. But what I want to say is it could have been longer. They should have made it longer. They should have made it beefier, and they should have covered more of what is in Unchained Key's story and the back cover story. And backstory along with its lore. They should have covered a lot more of it, because a lot of people have not played Unchained Key, unfortunately. Even though a lot of people know what it is, a lot of people trying to get into Kingdom Hearts don't understand, a lot of the things with medals, and that causes them to say, oh, I really don't want to play it because I don't know who this is. I don't know who these characters are, so they shy away from it. And I believe they should have filled the, length of the story up more, to have more of what is in Unchained Key's story within Unchained Key's back cover story. Otherwise, Unchained Key back cover story is phenomenal, and I'm glad they included it in this package. Alright, finally, we are getting to Dream Drop Distance, my favorite game in the entire Kingdom Hearts series. I cannot stress this enough. Dream Drop Distance is like, it is in my it's one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game of all time, along with, actually, it's right there, it's right below Sonic 2. It's Sonic 2, and then there's Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance, or HD Dream Drop Distance in this case. I like that they did that. Again, another nuance that I like. They, went back and instead of having 3D, they put HD Dream Drop Distance. That's one thing I like. I just gotta say, the controls are so much more grounded because it's on a controller. It's on a conventional controller rather than being on the original 3DS. And I'm using the original 3DS for reference. On the 3DS XL and new 3DS and stuff, it feels fine. But if you're playing this on the original 3DS, which most people did, so we're gonna go by what was there for the time, it was a bit uncomfortable for most people. I had a grip and I didn't really have to worry about that, but still, if you're I'm gonna have footage showing like what it was like. It's the original 3DS was really small, and a lot of people have bigger hands, and it was just not conventional for people to play it on the 3DS. So a lot of people wound up not liking it as much as they possibly could have, but a lot of people playing it on the PS4 are saying, this is the greatest, and it really is. It's really great, and it's a phenomenal experience, especially since it's 1080p 60 frames per second with all the textures upscaled. When I say this looks beautiful, I am not stressing this enough. It is a beautiful remaster. It looks phenomenal, and it's, out of all like the games pre 0.2, it's probably one of the best looking. This and Kingdom Hearts 2 are the best looking in the series to me, and I'm so glad they went and did this game the justice it deserved. On top of that, it takes the touchscreen stuff on the 3DS that made the 3DS easy and makes it into shortcuts. So I really do appreciate that. Now, it does take some time to get used to, especially if you're used to the 3DS like me, because I love the heck out of the game and I put a lot of time in it, going back and restarting the game multiple times, because you only got 2 save files on the original 3DS, but now you get like a plethora of save files with, the PS4, because it's a PS4. It's not a handheld. It's not limited on space, or as limited on space as a handheld, so you get all those improvements. On top of that, the sound quality is so much better. It is superb. On the 3DS, it was a little low. Admittedly, the sound quality was not as good as it could have been. Even if you were using headphones, whether they've been surround sound or stereo, no matter what, the game had like sort of a tinny tinge to it when it came to its audio, sadly. And that's something that's dealing with the hardware, not necessarily the game itself. They couldn't do much about it, especially since the game is fully voice acted. Really, when you think about it, the game is fully voice acted, so it's just something that was akin to the 3DS. The 3DS, just the sound quality just wasn't good. But on top of that, like I said, there were a lot of improvements in gameplay, such as when you're using your dream meters, using your links, everything just worked so much better. It's different, but it's still good, and it keeps the essence of Dream Drop Distance, what Dream Drop Distance was supposed to be. And it's the perfect example of a remaster. This is a game that's a perfect example of a remaster. A lot of people like to throw around Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That's really high up there too, but this has to be the perfect example. There are no frame rate drops or anything like that. Wind Waker had, frame rate drops, admittedly, when you use bombs, and I'll be showing examples. Don't worry, it'll be on screen, but this game is just perfect. 2.8 is really worth the $60, especially if you're a fan of Kingdom Hearts, like a true fan. You've played all the games, or you played as many as you could possibly to get into the series, and you followed the series basically just about your entire life. This is a series that really, speaks to me, and it's really close to me, and it's gotten me through some tough times, and 2.8 really personifies what a remaster collection, a game collection in general just should be. So I give, you know, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance a 9.5 out of 10. It is really worth the $60 or, you know, 60 and some tax, depending on where you purchase it from, online or, you know, physically on disc at a store. But it's really worth the money, and you should drop the money on it if you have it, or if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan. I really do believe it's worth it, especially if you haven't played Dream Drop Distance. If you haven't played Dream Drop Distance, dropping the 60 shouldn't, you know, feel not worth it, because it's a completely new experience for you, and it's superior to the 3DS version. So it's like you're not even paying for an upgrade, you're paying for an all new experience, whereas everyone else who's already played has, you know, they're paying for an upgrade, but it's still worth it. It's still worth it. It feels like a new game, but at the same time it feels so familiar. This has been your man Shadicstick. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video out with your friends. We're out of here. Peace. Kiss, kiss.